Now what we're dealing with here is not just a new Honda Civic Type R, but the fastest, most powerful and the most expensive Type R to have ever graced a road or racetrack. And yes, that means it's significantly faster than any of the other ones you see in the line here. And speaking of racetracks, there's one right over there. Now this is a big day for Honda, the return of what it calls its most important halo vehicle. But let's be honest, all of that becomes a bit secondary really, because any day you get to meet a new Civic Type R is bound to be a pretty good day. So let's go get stuck in and see if this one lives up to the heritage. It's not cheap, this new Type R, with Honda's sportiest Civic now wearing a $72,600 price tag. Now in the brand's defence, that money is drive away, and when you take on-road costs into consideration, it does put it close enough to on par with its higher-end competitors, like the VW Golf R, which listed around $66K before on-roads. Still, there's no escaping it's more money than the last one, but then it's also more car. In terms of straight-up kit, the Civic Type R is available in just one trim level, and outside you'll find 19-inch alloy wheels, Brembo brakes, LED lights all round, rain-sensing wipers and proximity unlocking. In the cabin, you'll get suede effect seats, finished up front in the type of deep red that will really make you think of Red Rum in The Shining. There's dual zone climate, a 9-inch touchscreen with Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, a second 10.2-inch digital driver display, wireless device charging, sat-nav, and ambient interior lighting. There have also been a lot of performance changes, like a redesigned turbocharger, new air intakes and exhaust, improvements in the very good manual gearbox, the steering is now more responsive, the adaptive dampers parameters have been improved, there's better cooling for the brakes, and there's a limited slip differential and better Michelin sporty rubber. Now there's no denying that the previous Civic Type R was a little polarising in some of its design, and while this one still looks as mad as a cut snake, it also looks a little older and just a little bit more refined. Some big changes, the alloys are now 19 inches but still frame big red Brembo brake calipers, but the front end also just looks a little calmer and a little less in your face, not least of which because the vent is now wider and just a bit more subtle than the huge one that was on the previous generation. Now in the cabin, it's still very much the Honda Civic that we already know. In fact, most of the dash looks pretty much the same, although it is very, very red in there. Now for mine, the magic of a car like this is that, unlike those really exotic supercars, you can actually use this as a fairly comfortable daily driver when you need to, and then just go and tear up your local racetrack on a weekend. So does the Civic Type R fulfill that brief? Well, yeah, it does. It's got these pretty comprehensive drive settings, first of all, which allow you to dial up either the comfort levels or the sporty levels, depending on where you are and how you want to drive. But it's also got a fairly spacious back seat. Now, Honda doesn't even pretend this is a 5-seater. In fact, it's got twin cup holders where the middle rider would usually go. But for mine, that's a good thing rather than a bad thing, as it gives your two backseat riders a little bit more room to spread out. Now, the bad news, it is a fairly spare space back here. There's no USB ports. In fact, there's only the two for the up front riders, and there's no air vents either. But there is a fair bit of room. I'm sitting behind what would roughly be my own 175 centimetre driving position, and as you can see, I've got plenty of knee room and enough headroom too to never really feel too claustrophobic back here. The Civic Type R is powered by Honda's 2-litre turbocharged VTEC engine, this time delivering 235 kilowatts and 420 newton meters. And yes, both those numbers are an improvement on the model that came before it. And there's even a more powerful version available overseas, but for a variety of complex reasons, we can't get that one in Australia. Now, the power is fed to the front wheels exclusively via a 6-speed manual transmission, delivering a sprint to 100 kilometers an hour of 5.4 seconds and a flying top speed of 275 kilometers an hour. So what do you really need to know about the new Civic Type R? Well, simple really. While it's similar to the car it replaces, Honda have genuinely made improvements right across the board here. I mean, it's more powerful, there's better acceleration, improved suspension, improved brake cooling, there's a wider track front and rear for better cornering stability. I mean, anything they could tweak, they tweaked to make this thing an even better performance car. And I can tell you, I'm not one to wax lyrical the moment I get into a car, but this is the sort of vehicle that is immediately confidence inspiring, even when you're crippled by jet lag on a foreign and far away racetrack. The steering is super sharp, but it's also very natural feeling. There's nothing that's going to catch you off guard. And the whole thing just feels very fluid, very smooth, and very predictable, which is exactly what you want from a car like this. There's definitely classes in the hot hatch world. They're not all built equally, but this is the kind of car that definitely feels like you can box it out with the best of them. So we're about to come out of the main straight here. I've been told to grab fourth early and keep the foot in as we go around this final corner. And you can feel the infinite control in this vehicle. When you take your foot off the gas, you can feel the rear end turning in a little bit more for you. It just feels really sharp, really intuitive, and like you're a part of the car. Anyway, enough jibbing from me. We're in fourth. We'll pop it up into fifth. That's 180, 190, that's 200. And that was honestly without even trying. And again, when it comes to knocking it down to third for the first corner, you can let the car do much of that work for you. There is also a ton of grip from the tyres. We're pushing quite hard through the bends here. There's not a lot of tyre squeal, not a lot of front wheel understeer either. It just kind of sits and grips really well. Honestly, it's a really impressive performance package. Other thing this car has got, which is pretty cool, is a clever little data logger, which is equal parts cool and scary, because not only does it record all your inputs, of course, and racetracks around the world are logged with it, so using GPS it'll give you accurate track times, but it also gives you advice on where you've gone right and where you've gone wrong, and in fact it'll even deliver you a driving scorecard at the end of each session, which, if I'm totally honest with you, is not something I'm sure I want to see, but it's quite a nifty little function. Okay, so we're in fourth now, which is an early shift out of this long final corner onto the straight. And I just want to give you an idea of its top end acceleration. So still in fourth, that's 150, 60, 70. The shift lights are up, let's do it. That's 190, 200, and 220 on the main straight there before we hit the braking markers. Now, that is seriously impressive speed for a road car, and especially one in this price bracket. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's something you're ever going to get tired of. I know I'm not. Honda reckons you'll get 8.9 litres per 100 kilometres on the combined cycle, which, it must be said, is going to be a hard number to hit should you drive this car the way you'll almost certainly be driving it. Emissions are pegged at 203 grams a kilometre of CO2. Oh, and you'll need 95 RON fuel for its 47 litre tank too. It's a fairly comprehensive safety package here, with the Type R fitted with the Honda safety suite of equipment, including AEB, road departure warning, adaptive cruise control, and a host of other high-tech kit. And you can add to that front, side front and full-length curtain airbags, as well as a driver's knee bag. The new Civic, however, is yet to be tested by ANCAP. The Civic Type R is covered by a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, with servicing required every 12 months or 10,000 kilometres. The brand also offers 5 years of capped price servicing, with each annual visit to the service centre costing $199, which is pretty sharp. So how can I sum this car up? Well, I guess I'd say that while it's true that not all hot hatches are created equal, this also isn't your average hot hatch. And sure, it might feel expensive, but I still reckon there's plenty of bang for your bucks here.